YouTube, what is going on, guys? How is everybody doing? We are going to watch a video. I've been waiting to watch one of Sean's videos. Sean cuts hair. I gotta watch one of his actual haircut tutorials and react to it. I just haven't because he's one of the educators of Tune45academy.com. Go check it out, along with 4 other educators, including myself, Get Beamed, and Drake. But I definitely wanted to react to this video because this is one of the first videos that I know of, besides the ones that I've made, that talk about how to clean and maintain your BeamTeam XL. And I think it's super important because anytime there's a new tool that barbers aren't used to, even when clippers came out. Shoot, I remember when I was learning to cut hair, a lot of barbers didn't know how to maintain their own clippers or zero gap their clippers. They didn't know they were supposed to oil or use Barbicide before and after every haircut. Or I don't oil after every haircut, but that's what the clipper company tells you. I think it's just to sell some oil. I'm just playing. I typically oil my clippers maybe once a day, to be real with you. They usually talk to me and let me know when it's time to oil them. Anyways, with tools, that's just how it works. I remember when zero gapping tools, everybody would bring their clipper or their trimmer to me in the shop because it just wasn't a common thing. Where I feel like today, so many videos on it, everybody does it. They zero gap their own tools and they're still learning how to do it themselves, but it's still a thing that had to become a thing. And that's what I feel like the BeamTeam XL is. And it's such a simple thing to maintain, but I feel like for whatever reason, barbers aren't finding the videos that I'm making to maintain. I've dropped them on the Facebook group, I've dropped them on Instagram, I've dropped them on YouTube, I've dropped them everywhere, man, and people just don't see the videos. So let's watch Sean Cuts Hair's video. Hopefully this video gets 1 million views and then everybody will know how to maintain it. I haven't watched it yet, so I will add any tips and pointers where I see add on to whatever Sean does. It ain't getting a lot of views though. I don't like that view count. People ain't interested in it. People ain't clicking on Sean's video. We probably get more emails on the maintaining a BeamTeam than he just got views there. I'll just play it. But for real, like, hopefully this video gets views because the amount of people that buy the BeamTeam XL and don't take the time to figure out how to maintain their compressor is outstanding. And 90% of the time, it's not the compressor, it's the airbrush. And what I tell people is, if you can't maintain this airbrush, you're not going to be able to maintain an airbrush that's $200. What I mean by that is the airbrush is the actual gun, the trigger gun, what sprays it out. It connects to the compressor. The compressor is the motor. So if you don't know how to maintain the top part, I don't care if you switch it out with something that's $200, you're going to break that one too. All right, let's go ahead and watch the video.
With another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to clean and maintain the BeamTeam XL cordless compressor, and also talk about a couple common problems that people have with the compressor and how to fix them.
I like that. That was a great intro. My man said that intro is crazy. You made that intro, Sean? That intro is crazy. Georgia, we got competition, bro.
The first thing that's very common, guys, is this knob on the back. It's really made to control how much air can come out of the trigger. So you guys notice if you pull the trigger all the way back and you start to tighten this, it will actually push the trigger back up against your finger. A lot of you guys maybe put this back together and turn this all the way tight. It's actually gonna limit how much air can come through, and you guys can't tell, but I literally can barely pull the trigger back and it's being stopped. What you wanna do is push the trigger, start to untighten it, and you guys will get to the point where you can pull the trigger all the way back. The next problem that's very common that we hear about is that people push the needle in too hard. So you guys, when you push the needle in, I'm gonna take this last piece off. Now I can pull the needle in and out. I wanna just give it enough pressure to go till it stops. I don't want to shove that needle in. If you guys shove that needle in, it will actually go too snug and the needle will stop all the pressure from coming through. That is a simple fix. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take this thing all the way apart and break down how to take it apart, how I clean it, and then we'll put it back together so that you guys can follow along with this video and clean yours yourself. All right, guys, so to start this video off, you can see we have the BeamTeam XL back here.
Can we take a second to appreciate Sean's setup? That setup, it's a nice setup, bro.
I'll put about 3/4 of an inch of alcohol in there. We can drop all our parts in there and let them soak. Here, we're just gonna take the gun off the top of the compressor. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start by taking this screw out on the back. That goes in the alcohol. Next, we'll take this end cap off. On the front, guys, we have 2 nozzles. So we'll take this first nozzle off and the second. The cup, we can take the cap off. The cup also comes off. After that, this is the piece that holds the needle in. So we will unscrew that. Then carefully pull the needle out, and I'm gonna set it to the side. We will clean it on its own. You guys can see how much dark is on that needle.
I just want to point out that the biggest issues that I've seen is the needle being dirty and the nozzles. The nozzles in the front that he took out and put into the alcohol. Now this is a deep cleaning. You don't have to do this to maintain your compressor or clean your compressor all the time. Just when you want to do a deep cleaning, and usually I only do a deep cleaning when my compressor isn't spraying the way I want it to. But for the most part, as long as you're spraying a little bit of alcohol through the line between every single usage, you will be fine. And a lot of times the only thing that you have to clean, guys, the only thing you have to deep clean is the needle and the nozzles in the front.
Next part, guys, is back here. Drop it in there, the spring, and this last piece that the needle goes to. That's most of the gun, guys. There is another piece up here at the front that we most of the time fail to take off, and this can hold a lot of colors. So I'm gonna grab the wrench that came with the airbrush, and we will twist this out and add it to our alcohol.
Honestly, this level of deep cleaning you probably don't have to do very often. Maybe if you use your compressor a lot, maybe once a month, maybe. This is the equivalent of taking apart your clipper and cleaning the inside of it from hair and debris. This isn't really what you have to do. The difference between a deep cleaning and the difference between spraying your clipper with Cool Care, putting oil, that's the difference. On a daily basis, you're doing Cool Care and oiling your clipper blade. That's maintaining your clipper. When you do a deep cleaning, you take your clipper apart, you take the blade off, and you do a deep cleaning. Comparing that to the compressor, this is taking apart your clipper. Where on a daily basis, on a usage basis, instead of spraying Cool Care and putting oil on your blade, all you're doing is dumping out the old color that's sitting in the tank and spraying alcohol or airbrush cleaner, spraying it through the line, and then you're done.
This is the wrench that I'm talking about.
It comes with your compressor for deep cleanings, or if you need to replace that part.
You guys can see this little nozzle. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. You guys want to let this stuff soak for a little bit, maybe a day or two, at least a couple hours, and let it soak, and then we will actually wipe each thing off, and we can go ahead and put this back on the gun. After that, I'll go ahead and do the lid. So we'll get the lid out, same thing, and put that on our gun. So next up, guys, the first piece I'm going to put on is this last piece that we took off that goes into the back of the gun. So it does have one part that has a little groove in it. So we'll take the groove and make sure it's at the bottom and push it all the way in. So that's all the way in. Next thing that we need is the screw. Put this back on here, and there we go. The next piece we have is this big piece that is going to hold the spring in. We will push the spring in with it.
Yep.
And get that threaded in and spin it all the way tight. The next piece is the needle.
I want to point something out with the needle. It is very common for people to damage the needle. It's a very fine, very sensitive part of the tool. In the airbrush community, people buy a bunch of these. The ones that come with our compressors is a 0.3 millimeter needle. And if you need a replacement one because it's easy to bend the tips and stuff, we don't warranty that because no airbrush company warranties it because it's a tool that it just breaks like that. It's like, it would be like warranting clipper blades. You don't really warranty those unless it's our fault it's broken. Maybe you get a bad one, maybe you get a defective one, then we'll warranty it. If it breaks or something like that, that's just part of, I think these things are like, look at this. I've never bought from these specific people, but they're not expensive. You get a pack of 5 for $9. These needles should last you a long time as long as you take care of them. It just goes to show that people just don't know about these tools. They're wet behind the ears when it comes to these tools.
We gotta make sure the needle goes right in that hole, and very lightly we're just gonna push that through to the front.
As soon as it stops,
you'll
that's
see it come out the front. Now we're going to be very gentle. We don't have the front pieces on yet, so we'll actually pull that back to where it's just at the tip. We'll put the front pieces on, and then we'll snug it up to the front.
Yeah, I would at least put the little copper tip, that really small tip that he did with the little wrench. I would put that on first before you put the needle on.
The first piece on the front, guys, is the one that we use the wrench to take off. Obviously, the threaded end is going to go into the front. Once you get it hand tightened, we'll take our wrench and tighten it down. This doesn't need to be super tight.
Yeah.
We just want to snug it down.
It's copper, so it can bend
a couple times.
It can bend if you over tighten it, guys. So be careful.
Until it's snug. Now, if you guys look when we press the needle through.
Also, I'm sorry to interrupt, Sean, but you see this gasket right here, this black gasket? You want to make sure that that's intact. If it's broken, it'll leak air. When you pull this trigger, it'll bubble in here.
And we'll take our front cap. Big one goes first. Very carefully, we'll place it over the needle so we don't damage the needle. And screw it in. Small one, this is kind of a reverse cone it's going to thread on, and then it has the cone at the front that protects the needle. So again, very carefully line it up, thread it on snug. We're good to go on the front. So the front of the gun is done. Again, now that that's all done, I'm gonna pull my needle back and I will press it in just far enough until it's, now we're good. Yep. Now the last small piece that we have is what holds the needle where it's at. So you guys will slide this over the back of the gun and snug it on to this part. These last two parts aren't actually required. You can run the gun just like this without these last two covers. I see it commonly.
I don't use those back pieces, but I will say this. It does protect the back piece of that needle. Let's say you drop your compressor. If it lands on the needle and it doesn't have this back piece protecting it, it can push that needle up through that copper tip and bend and break your airbrush. And then you're gonna have to get a new copper tip and a new needle, or you're gonna have to replace the gun in general. So that piece, it protects the gun at the very least if you were to drop the gun.
And the last piece that I showed you guys at the beginning, we will thread on the back.
That piece you definitely don't need.
And the way I do it, guys, I pull the trigger all the way back so I know I have full motion. I'll tighten this till it starts to push against my finger. I'll go back until I have full motion of the lever, and now we're done. I'm gonna throw a little bit of alcohol in here and we'll test her out.
That's literally how I maintain my compressor, where I rarely have to do a deep cleaning. Very rarely. I've probably done a deep cleaning on my compressor 3 times, maybe. It's been out for over a year now. This is what I do. If I use the compressor on my client, whatever color is still in there, I either spray out or I dump it. And then I spray alcohol or airbrush cleaner, just like Sean is doing right there. And I spray that through the line. Once I sprayed it through the line, I can either let what's left of the alcohol sit in the tank, or I could dump it out if you feel like it, or just spray all of it out. And that's it. I do that after every client, sometimes before and after every client. Like for example, if I haven't worked in the shop in a while, I'll spray alcohol in it first, because sometimes the guys use the compressor and don't clean it as good as I would like, so it doesn't hit like I want it to. But that's generally all you really need to do. And then sometimes, let's say it isn't spraying, all I do is I take the front nozzle off, wipe it clean, and I'll wipe the tip of the airbrush, the front where the color sprays out of. And then I'll take out the needle from the back, just the needle, and I'll wipe that clean. And then I'm good to go. But I very rarely have to take everything apart. But it's very important to know how to. A lot of you guys will take it apart, not know how to put it back. You're emailing customer service. You're acting like it's the end of the world, trying to curse out the team. I want to call some of you guys sometimes and be like, yo, come on. But I don't, because I'm a nice guy. Just like that, and let's spray it out. Woo! Look at that power. There's no cordless air compressor out there that even come close in power kill. Nobody said. So guys, that was a great video by Sean. I want to make a couple things clear. We've sold thousands of these compressors since it's been out. From the individuals that know how to use it, we've gotten amazing reviews. I don't think we have a problem with where the compressor doesn't work. I think we have an education problem. There's a gap that we have to bridge and get our guys who want to get into color enhancements. When you think of the barber industry, color enhancements is one of the newest services that we provide as a profession. So there is going to be a gap that we have to bridge, and that's with education. It's not necessarily a tool that doesn't work. Out of those thousands of compressors that we've sold, maybe 1% of them have been defective. The vast majority of them is an issue with a lack of information, of education, and knowing how to maintain the airbrush, which is the gun, separate from the actual compressor. It's very rarely that our compressor doesn't work. Most of the time when there's an issue, it's the airbrush getting clogged, or maybe the airbrush is defective. Listen, if you watch this video and you've tried everything, you're still having issues with your airbrush, please do email us at support@tomb45.com. That way we can further investigate, we can take care of you. But please be nice to our customer service team, man. We want to take care of you guys. They do this full time. We'll get back to you within 24-hour window. We don't have a huge team. We're a small company, but we do have a team that does just customer support all day. So they want to take care of you. I want to make sure you're happy as a customer, and I appreciate all the support. And we're going to get better and better at this. This is something that is common when you're trying to be innovative, when you're trying to do new things and introduce new things to an industry. You're going to get people who just don't understand it until they do. You know, think of the Teslas of the world, the Apple of the world. I'm not comparing Tomb 45 to that, but I do think that we try to be innovative more so than we just try to capitalize on an opportunity. It's been a headache trying to bridge that gap as far as education, but But I hope that Sean's video has helped you guys. I hope it gets a bunch of views. Hope this video gets a bunch of views and it adds some clarity to the color enhancement game. I'm sure Beam would say, man, shout out to the shooters. Again, thank you guys for all the support. And if you still have issues after watching this video, again, hit up support@tomb45.com. Love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow because we drop daily content, man.